What does karma really mean? Well, stay tuned to find out. Present practice. What is vibing? This is Vish, and today, like I mentioned earlier, I will be talking about karma and what it really means. Now, firstly, I'll be starting to talk about the word in terms of how it's used in modern day, especially Western society. Then I'll be going into what I've come to realize the true meaning is from the spiritual dimension. And then after that, I will be talking to you about the practical use cases about this and how we can use this in our life and just be practical, especially with the mind-driven, logically driven society that we live in today. So, let's get right into this. And quick preface for those of y'all new watching this kind of series. I do want to say and let y'all know that this is completely raw and uncut because I like to keep this completely real. This topic series is really just based off of the realizations I've had on this spiritual journey, which is actually a very practical journey. And so with that being said, let's get into it. So, karma. Usually, at least the way it's been used in most Western places at least, it really comes down to a negative connotation based word. For instance, you say something mean and then let's just say you trip over the banana. I'm just making this example up. Then someone next to you could say, ha, that was karma. Or karma is so on. There's different negatively connotated words used to describe karma. And that it almost becomes essentially like a punishment. Karma literally means payback or punishment. At least that's how it's used in Western society. And it's so interesting because at least with the little that I know, and I'm talking with the little amount of awareness that I have, karma actually is derived from Sanskrit, especially in the South Asian area of where it's prevalently used. Not just used modernly, but as an ancient yogic word, it's used in that kind of sense. But now, in Western society, the modern era, or like the new age yogis, if you want to call them that, tend to loosely use the word, and it really comes down to the unconscious, preconditioned, egoic use of the word. Egoic or ego, not necessarily just meaning being stuck up or having this high esteemed value of self, but it's really just the false sense of self. So it's not even necessarily a good or bad thing or a high or low thing. It's just any false sense of self is the ego. Now, if I'm going too fast, I will slow down because I'm reflecting on me speaking right now and I'm kind of noticing me going a little fast. So a part of the reason actually for that is because I'm getting this with the sun lit in this beautiful backyard of my neighbor's house, and the sun is setting. So I wanted to make use of the time that we had together with the sun lit, or the sun up there. Now, let's read what I wrote down. This is actually what I write down every single day. It's daily quotes. July 15th, 2021. What does karma really mean? Do we want to control or do we want freedom? Are these terms interchangeable? So, with that being said, and going back to what I was talking about with how karma is used in a very negative light, you see, the reason I especially like to start off this kind of video topic on the word usage, especially in modern day society, is because we tend to so unconsciously use these words. So I always love breaking down these words and explaining the true meanings behind it, at least as I've understood or realized. And that way we become more conscious with not only life, but also the words that we use. Because a lot of the times the words that we use unconsciously are really just reflections of the mind that we have. And it goes to show when we tend to unconsciously use certain words, we're just spitting that out from the unconscious mind. And so it's just a reflection of that. And so when we learn to be more conscious with the words that we use, I'm not saying we should be more sensitive, but more conscious, more aware. That in turn will allow for you to be more aware and help with your awareness growth. So hopefully that was helpful. And now let's move towards the actual what does it mean. And I'm curious because I do want to make this video a little interactive. So essentially, before I even proceed to what it really means, I would love to hear what you think the word means in the comments down below. give you a second to do that. And if you're not doing that right now, let's be present together. Take some conscious breaths. Okay, so whether you type something in the comments or you just stay present with me, that's okay. Let's explore what it really means. And I'm going to use a reference of Sadhguru. Sadhguru, he wrote a book called Karma. And he is not only a yogi, mystic, but visionary. And so I will definitely say with pretty high clarity that the way he uses it, and he's provided the clarity and light to the true meanings of it, are more or less very closely aligned with the truth of what it really means, which is, what does karma really mean? So, karma literally means action. That's it. Now, then why don't we just use the word action and replacement? Well, it goes back to the whole preconceived or preconditioned unconscious use of the word. You see, karma is a reflection of your action, whether it's internal or external. It's just action. The way I've kind of realized it within me is memory action. So not just action, but memory action. So whenever a certain act is performed, there is no good or bad in karma. It creates an impression, an imprint, an attachment. That combination is karma. It's the baggage that you carry, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, energy. At least energy, I think. I'm not too sure because Sadhguru talks about that, and there's certain like bodies. There's the physical body, there's the etheric body, there's the mental body, and there is apparently a certain body where karma is not present, so I don't want to talk too much about an area I don't know about. But at the end, it really just means action memory, as I've come to realize. So, yes, there is this whole, I guess, relative idea present that's like, based on your karma, you'll be reincarnated into this or that. I don't know if that's true or not, to be fully transparent, but it isn't really a terrible way to understand it, because, again, whether you did something good or bad, that karma doesn't care about you like that. Karma is literally how life reflects what you do and how it reciprocates. And so pretty much because of that, it really comes down to no subjectiveness. It's very, very objective relatively to nature. I mean, it's essentially the idea of how every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It comes down to that, but here's the key. It's not just the reaction part, which is what we tend to focus on with regards to karma, which is negative reaction. It's the action as well. The before and the after. That is a karma. Because even there, as I kind of explore the word a bit more, the before is your act, that is your action, that is your karma. The reaction is also, in a way, in your control, because how you perceive that reaction is also your karma. So let's make an example about this, and now we'll transition towards a more practical usage and segment of the video, which is, what does karma really mean and how can we actually use it in our daily life? So, essentially, you, let's just say, didn't really stretch before an exercise. Now I'm noticing the sun setting, so maybe there might be a slight difference in terms of the lighting, which hopefully it's still clear to you, because that's what matters at the end. Basically, you didn't stretch before a certain workout. So that was your action, your karma. You didn't stretch. That's what you did. As a result, you go run, and then you pull your muscle, and you get injured. That is also your karma. That is your action, because you still decide to run while not having stretched. So both are your karmas. Now you're hurt. Now you screaming and wailing in pain is also your karma. You accepting and not being fazed by what had happened and just, doing and taking the right conscious steps to heal yourself, whether it's putting in an ice bag or cooling down the body, giving the body rest, those are all actions at the end. There's no good or bad. It's just which is optimal for your recovery. And that really just comes down to which one is leading to the least amount of karmic buildup. Which one is leading to the least amount of accumulated action. That is what's going to be optimal for you. So there's no good or bad. It's just how much karma are you accumulating. That is in your control as well. That's why it is literally your action. Again, how you react. Reaction tends to be more negatively connotated as well as impulsive / unconscious in nature. But what is your response? If your reaction were to be screaming and wailing and howling in pain, that's your karma, that's your action, that's what you're doing. But you also have the choice to, like I said earlier, just be present and sit still with that pain, face it. And then just take the right precautionary take the right, not pre, but post cautionary steps for this issue or injury. It's as simple as that. So, now let's make this more practical in terms of like how you could use this. So I gave you one example, but I want to show you how when viewing life with the lens of karma, you will start living in a much more freer way. I mean, it goes back to the question which I have, which is, do you want more control or do you want more freedom? You see, control might create this illusory effect on you where you think you are free. But true freedom is freedom itself. Not... That might be for another video. Control versus freedom specifically. But which will allow you to be most liberated? Which will allow you to be more free in terms of decision making or action? That is what karma will help you understand. So let's use another example. You're studying for a test and you, for whatever reason, procrastinate. That's your karma. You're making the action of not studying. No good or bad. You just didn't study. That's your action. That's your karma. Now you have, let's just say it's 11 p.m. and your test is at 7 a.m. Exam, big exam that's coming up. You see, you have two choices. Pull an all-nighter and study for the test and maybe do well, or just give the body the rest and then take the test as it is with what you've understood so far. Now, this video isn't a morality-based kind of series, and I'm not trying to give you tips on morality because it's so subjective. But karmically looking at it, if that's the right word, karmically looking at it, again, there's no right or wrong. But which action will lead to the least amount of reaction, which are just actions happening again? That is what you would want to choose. So if you were to pull that all-nighter, and let's say you were to, not only study with what little energy you have because it's super late now, but you constantly are thinking and being nervous about so many things happening to you with the test, you're building on karma. Now, if there was a way where you could just enter this flow state and have no thinking additionally happening, or unconscious thinking that is, and you can study for the test, then yeah, and then you do well, great. But then that's where you're causing physical karma, which is more baggage on the physical body because it's getting worn down and it's, past its bedtime. What's interesting, to keep this more simple and to wrap this all up at the end, a very interesting story was told by Sadhguru himself in the book Karma. And I'm not going to explain too much about the book, but I'll just go into this example because it will hopefully paint a picture of what karma really means, and then you can use this in your life. And essentially goes on talking about how there's these two guys and they have this weekly or weekend visit to the prostitute, a very quote-unquote sinful act, as people like to view. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but they used to do this. Let's just say it's a story, right? And as they're doing this, one day some guy hears the Gita, which is like a holy Hindu book, and on the way to the visit, he's like, I should probably go to that class instead. So he goes to that class instead. Goes to the class, and then while he's at the class, keep in mind the other guy ended up going to the visit. The guy in the class is thinking about how much of a good time the other guy is having while being present reading the holy book, whereas the other guy is having a good time. And again, it's not about sinful or good or bad, it's just which one are you accumulating more karma for. And in this case, it's the guy going to the Gita class. Yes, you might view it as a very great or holy thing, but the problem is him going to this class, which is fine and he's learning, but him going there and keeping on thinking and thinking and thinking about the other guy is him accumulating more and more action on himself, or baggage, impressions. So at the end, it comes down to which will have the least amount of baggage created for you. It's as simple as that. Indecisiveness is also another example of lots of karma being added. So whatever your decision is at the end, it's all about being steadfast, being focused, and that's it. Hopefully this video was able to provide some clarity with regards to what karma is, and the beginning with regards to what it means to, or how it's viewed today, and what it really means, the spiritual dimension of it. Finally wrapping this all up with the practical use case of it, was able to really just provide, again, clarity for you to understand what karma means. And I do want to do a special shout out to Sadhguru himself, because he wrote the beautiful book on karma, and that's what inspired me to share this with you all. And I practice it every single day, honestly, and I've realized how free I've become just by very simply thinking, is what I'm about to do going to lead to more action or reaction, or is it not? If I were to be given a choice of, like, let's just say picking, for instance, we had an example today, we had to change the colors of the kitchen, painting, something, right? And instead of like being, if I pick this will happen or that'll happen, I was like, you know what, let's go for this because my intuition told me that. I'm not saying you should never plan or you shouldn't analyze, but you need to be aware as you're analyzing or planning too much, or overthinking, that is, you're just leading to more karma being built upon you. So it's as simple as be decisive. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate you taking this time. If you have any other video requests, I would love for you to comment that down below. And with that, make it a great day, take it joyfully, stay conscious, and ecstasy.